A wonderful good day. Welcome to a new video. Today we're going to work on the Audi A4 Type 8 WB9. Model year 2016. We're going to focus on the engine with the code DETA. And yes, this is the 2-liter engine from Audi. And here we're going to go ahead and perform a complete engine oil change procedure once. This here is an example oil, TopTech 4200. If you're unsure which oil to use in your car, make sure to check the video description below, where you'll find all the details and recommendations you need. Links, for example, from Castrol and Liqui Moly. There's an oil guide where you can find out which oil you can pour in. It also states the oil quantity, how much goes in. For them, 4.7 liters go in. It's a small point since I have a larger. You can just glance at it like that. That's now, the oil also goes in there, just not in such, that's now just the cylinder head, we need a lot of it. There's really not much more to say. Yeah, the purchase links are down in the video description. We also need an oil filter, of course, and that's the correct one specifically designed for this engine model. It's the perfect fit for the cylinder head, ensuring everything runs smoothly, efficiently, and without any issues or complications. Then we have here the 2-liter engine. The cover has been removed. Here's one component that stayed in place and didn't come off with the cover. No big deal. So the oil filter is located right here. There it is. But to get proper access to the oil filter, we'll need to unscrew the coolant reservoir here first. Be very careful with the coolant reservoir because all of these here are plastic hoses. And they can burst at some point, and then the whole thing is finished. So we're unscrewing this single Torx screw. So we'll need a 30 Torx bit. And then we can shift the container slightly to the side. Just like that, also take off this clip here. The polishing, and we can completely remove the entire container. Screw the lid back on. Now we can simply tilt it back here, allowing us to properly reach the oil filter. That's why it's important the engine must not be hot, otherwise you'll burn yourself. After that, we need a 32mm socket with a large ratchet and a long extension. We can proceed to remove the oil filter. It's so important when the oil filter is on top, or it's generally important during an oil change to always unscrew the oil filter first. Because otherwise, there's still a small amount of oil left, which doesn't have to be there. And now the oil can completely drain out. We've got the oil filter out now. Now we can lift the whole thing up and drain the oil. So what you need is, preferably something like this. It's actually for the trim, a door panel tool to take it off, because you'll have to carefully and gently pry them out here without causing any damage to the parts or the surrounding area. They're positioned at the rear section of the underbody paneling. Then you'll need a 27 Torx. It doesn't necessarily have to be long, but you'll definitely need a 27 Torx for this specific part right here. A flathead screwdriver for these screws here, or a Phillips head won't work for those. Then you'll also need a T20 Torx for the standard VW screws that are commonly used here. And finally, a 13mm socket to complete the task and ensure everything is securely fastened and properly in place for optimal results. There are also some on the sides. 13mm screws are on there. To remove the trim, it's just as an additional note. If someone is preparing, watching the video, and then getting ready to actually change it. So, to change the oil in their car, just so they know what to expect. So, the oil pan is situated right here, and that's also where the oil drain plug is located. Get a 19mm socket. So there, the soup just flows all the way down through this part here. Then we'll let that drain out. So, and the screw gets 25 Newton meters. Now let's clean up the entire thing properly and thoroughly. Then we'll go ahead and pick up the new filter. 2 small rubber gaskets. Probably fits multiple models because here we only have one seal that we can replace. Back in with the page once more here. And we can smear this here, and then we can put the whole thing back in. And we can screw this whole thing back in here. So 25 Newton meters, that's the torque we're aiming for, and it should hold securely in place without any issues at all. Clean the whole thing thoroughly and make sure it's spotless. Alright, and now we can reattach the coolant reservoir. Slide that back into place. And then tighten up the torque screw on the reservoir securely and firmly, like so. Rinse off the coolant that might have spilled a bit with some water. And then we can pour the oil back in. The whole area here is looking messy once again. Can we go ahead and open the cap now? So yes, and pour 4.7 liters or 5.30 in at once. It's also important to pour exactly the amount of oil it needs because it doesn't have a dipstick. And again, 2 liters. So, and 0.7. Then we'll go ahead and get it started right away for you. We'll put the cover back on, so now it's absolutely essential that we also check the oil level. I've got it running now, so the next step is to navigate to the menu. Comma, select the vehicle option. Comma, move once to the left, and then scroll down to the service section where we'll find the option to check the oil level directly. The level is okay, at maximum. That works for us. Could of course be a tiny bit less. Full throttle, maximum as it shows here. This is also where we get to the topic of resetting the service. There's a separate video for that, and here it's all done. If you enjoyed the video and liked the whole thing, don't forget to leave a thumbs up. Leave a sub, catch you next time, bye.